So you know those recipes that look really fancy, but secretly they take almost no effort at all? The kind that you can confidently serve to guests and have it look like you spent hours on it. Yeah, this is one of those. Today we're making 3-ingredient popovers. It's just eggs, flour, and some milk, and a little salt, but that doesn't really count as an ingredient, and we're not gonna let that one steal the spotlight. And after we bake them, I'm gonna show you a couple of different ways to serve them. One is a sweet option, and the other is a savory option that I love for cheese boards. And this is perfect for when you want something quick and easy to make that will satisfy a sweet tooth, but also when you want something fancy to serve with cheese. To get this batter started, we're going to crack and whisk 3 eggs in a bowl. I remember the first time I made these, I thought for sure there had to be more ingredients, and I must have double checked the recipe 10 times, but nope, they're really this simple. Then pour in 1.5 cups of milk and give it another little whisk. And 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now take 1.5 cups of flour and stir it in gradually. A little bit at a time keeps everything smoother and keeps you from chasing lumps around the bowl. Once it comes together, just set the bowl aside for a moment. Then take your muffin tin and pour in about a teaspoon of oil into each cup. This is going to give the popovers the runway they need to rise. Swirl it around so everything is nicely coated on the bottom, and then put it in the oven to heat at 425 degrees. So I just have my oven preheated to 425 degrees, and I put the muffin tin with the oil in it inside the oven to heat up. And you want it to heat up for about 10 minutes because you want that oil smoking hot. Once you take the hot pan out, you can start filling the cups with the batter. If you fill the cups about halfway, you'll get 12 popovers. And I filled mine 3/4 full because I was clearly feeling a little bold, and I ended up with 10 enthusiastic popovers. No complaints here. Now just pop them into your oven at 425 degrees to bake for about 15 or 20 minutes. And here is a quick tip. Don't open up the oven door to check on them because they are introverted little things and they are shy and they want to be left alone until they're done baking. Just check on them through the oven door with the light on to see that they're puffed up and golden brown. If you open up the door to check on them, you run the risk of them collapsing. So just leave them be until they're done. When they come out of the oven, they look wonderfully overconfident, tall, golden, and puffed in all the right places. I served this batch with some Boursin cheese as part of an appetizer platter, and this is exactly what you want from a popover that's been given plenty of space to rise and show off. If you're in the mood for something sweet, I have 2 fantastic options for you. And the first one is take some powdered sugar and cinnamon and sprinkle it over top of the warm popovers. And what will happen is that topping will melt a little bit on the top, and it'll give off that wonderful cinnamon toast smell, and it also has that same comforting flavor. And for the next one, we're just going to create a very simple lemon honey drizzle, and all you do is take a little bit of lemon juice and mix it in with a few tablespoons of honey and drizzle it over the top. This is the kind of trick that people used before they had shelves of different sauces to choose from. This makes a bright little syrup that's sweet and sunny, and trust me, you will want to sop up every last bit of it. Now, popovers have a fun little place in food history because they're actually the American cousin of Yorkshire pudding. Now, here's the charming bit. In old New England kitchens, cooks noticed that the batter would puff up dramatically in the pan and it would pop over the sides. And instead of dreaming up some poetic name, they just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, it popped over. Let's call it that. And honestly, that feels pretty relatable. I'm gonna give the cinnamon and sugar one a try and I'll let you know how it is. Now this is something that is going to disappear immediately in my house. I can just tell. It actually reminds me of something that you would find in a fancy coffee shop, and it's just very light and sweet, and it doesn't make you feel like you're committing to a full dessert, but the texture is absolutely phenomenal. This is a big win. So popovers are best enjoyed the same day that they're made, preferably within the first couple of hours of making them. But if you do have some left over, you can put them in an airtight container and just store them on the counter, and they'll be good for another day or so. After that, they will soften a bit, but the good news is that they will reheat beautifully. All you need to do is put them in the oven at 350 degrees for 5 or 7 minutes, and they'll spring right back to life. You can also make these ahead by whipping up the batter and keeping it in the fridge until you're ready to bake them up. And confession time, I've made these 3 times already this week. Once I had some company over for dinner and I served them as part of an appetizer with the cheese board, and then another time I had some leftover popovers sitting on the counter, and I just split one open and put jam in the middle of it and called it breakfast. Once you remember how easy these are to make with just flour, eggs, milk, and a pinch of salt, it's almost too easy to talk yourself into making another batch. You can also make a bigger batch and freeze them for a couple of months, and all you need to do is just thaw them and rewarm them before serving. All right, so I think we've proven that just a few simple pantry staples can turn into something amazing. Whether you dust them with a bit of powdered sugar and cinnamon, or you serve them plain with something savory, one thing is for certain, these little puffed beauties do not disappoint. If you've never made popovers before, this is one of those old-fashioned recipes that just works and is so versatile. And if you have made them before, hopefully this video will give you a couple of fresh ideas. I want to thank you so much for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me today. I appreciate that very much. Many blessings to you and your families. Take care, and we'll catch you in the next one.